It doesn't matter. Today is Guru Purnima. It's a very unusual Purnima because it is blue moon. It is the second full moon in a month. When there are two full moons in a calendar month, it's called a blue moon. And a blue moon is supposed to create very high upsurge of energy. So it's very unusual. Normally a blue moon and a Guru Purnima do not coincide, but okay. It's so the topic of today's talk is Dakshinamurti and the silent transmission of Shakti. Dakshinamurti is this form of Shiva, which in Shivratri we had shown to everybody, the south-facing aspect of Shiva. This is the primary Guru, meaning Shiva is essentially without form, but when he takes a form, especially as he is the Adi Guru, the first Guru, this is the form he takes, Dakshinamurti. And there is some interesting spiritual aspects to that. But let us honor and reverence the Gurus first. So, Dhyanamulam Guru Murti. The foundation of meditation is the form of the Guru.
I'm looking at her. If she can hear anything.
It doesn't matter. Silent transmission. Silent transmission of Shakti. Yeah. Shiva has made arrangements that it will be only yes. Dhyanamulam Guru Murti. The words are so powerful, it's difficult for it to even emerge from my mouth. Puja Moolam, Guru Pada. The foundation of all puja, the foundation of all worship starts with bending your stupid head to the feet of the Guru. Because that is where grace flows from. Mantra Moolam, Guru Vakya. All mantra practice, first of all, listen carefully to what is coming out of the Guru's mouth, because those words are charged with Shakti. Moolam means the foundation, the mantra Moolam Guru. Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa. No liberation is possible in the end by your own effort. It has to flow from, there is an intervention. That last step is possible only with Kripa. The word Kripa is actually grace. It is mistranslated as compassion. Compassion is Karuna. Kripa is a divine action. Karuna is a human thing, but Kripa is a divine action, and the Guru is the channel through which the divine action flows. But of all the Gurus, in the end, no matter how the form of the Guru, Dakshinamurti, the south-facing form of Shiva, Shiva sitting under a banyan tree, he has 4 aged disciples around him, and he is transmitting something, but it is being transmitted in complete silence. There is no pravachan. So in a sense, what we are doing here is the very opposite of yeah, but I'll come to that. You see, the first 4 disciples were all the mind-born sons of Brahma. They were mental formulations of Brahma, the creator. They were all called Sanat, 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 and they all have certain specific roles and purposes in the universe. Yesterday, those who were at the Art of Living, you heard the Swamiji there say that, the stars, they were stars that got attracted to the light that blazed out. The Pleiadian galaxy, for instance, is supposed to be the Kshetram, or the space where Sanat Kumara does his work. And Sanat Kumara is the only one of the 4 mind-born sons of Brahma who is still an active master and guide in touch with humanity. The others cannot be bothered with such ants. They work only in divine dimensions. Sanat Kumara, however, works in the... So this is an early aspect of, we call the Satyuga, and then we have the Tetra Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga. Those are not about that people were good and people were bad, but those were about stages of consciousness. When consciousness is very highly developed, when people are very highly developed and very highly evolved, the language itself is redundant. Their ability to process and to intuit their insight, the Trinetram, the Agni Trinetra is always up. So you don't need to use the wretched rubble of words to communicate. You can just send it in a direct packet and the other person has the ability to process it. So this happened very ancient times when, because Dakshinamurti, as the mystics of South India, the Siddha yogis know, Dakshinamurti is actually where consciousness evolved on the planet. Arunachala hill is the point where consciousness came to birth on the planet. The whole hill is made of red quartz. And quartz is a substance that can be made conscious. Quartz is used a lot in the new age, or rather the new cage people use it a lot, but they don't understand what is the impact of quartz. Quartz is something that can actually be made conscious. The whole hill is red quartz, and it is the dawning, the beginning of consciousness on this dimension or this loka happened in Arunachala. Arunachala, the rocks of South India are 430 million years old. So that mountain, it was eroding. It was once upon a time a very big mountain. Today it's a hillock, but it was once a very big mountain. 430 years of erosion has, but it activated, it got rudimentary consciousness, it moved into mineral consciousness, it moved into plant consciousness, it moved into animal consciousness, then human consciousness, finally into full enlightened master consciousness. And that was how Shiva came to this dimension, through Arunachala, and that form of Arunachala is Dakshinamurti. Because the transmission in Arunachala is never through systems, it is never through formal methodologies, it is transmitted purely and solely, either you have the capacity to receive or you don't. Many years later, when consciousness fell, or because of changing social circumstances and things like that, Shiva realized that people are missing out, people are not able to get what they need, so he had to come one more time. That was Kailasa. Kailasa is, they are not sure of the exact geological age, but it's only between 70 to 90 million years old. So Kailasa is very much the younger brother. And when he came to Kailasa, this time he realized that because the Sanat Kumaras basically said, no way, we are not getting into embodiment, we are not coming into this dimension. So then he had to find a new set of people to teach, and those were the Saptarishis. Those were the Rishi Mandala, the 7 great Brahma Rishis, and he taught them various systems, it had to become it had to step down. The pure transmission was no longer possible, so now it had to come in system, it had to come in vidhis, as it is called, sadhana vidhi, process, it had to come in jnana, it had to come in, and then they are the 7 vital beings, or they are the 7 divine beings who basically run the universe. So in that sense, Guru Purnima is for Arunachala and Shivratri is for Kailasa. In that sense, Kailasa is, Shivratri is where Shiva had to directly intervene, he had to intervene with actions. So that is Shivratri, where the mountain became infused with the consciousness of Shiva, and then it started flowing out. So it is very clearly understood. Shivratri, Kailasa actually vibrates more intensely on Shivratri. Guru Purnima in that sense. Of course, basically Shiva is Shiva, there is no difference there. But Guru Purnima is actually Arunachala. Guru Purnima is actually, so when he came, he did not come as Dakshinamurti, because that form only hyper specialized and hyper intense or hyper evolved people could access Dakshinamurti. He came in the form of the Adi Yogi. He came in the form of the first yogi. And then he started the whole Tantra transmission, he started the whole Vedic and the Vedantic transmission. So there is a very distinctive understanding. These 4 sanats are supposed to have the 4 Vedas and much more. Actually, originally they were about 100 Vedas. And they are supposed to have knowledge between them of all 100. Today we have only 4 left. One of that is rather iffy. Atharva Veda is a very strange one. We don't know if it is really a Veda. But the difference happened in that the only thing that survived from the original method of teaching, the only thing that survived from the original Guru Shishya parampara was the transmission of Shakti. Because after that there had to be pravachans, like we have pravachans now. There had to be groups organized, and there had to be events done, and there had to be years of practice. You just couldn't go to the Guru and you just couldn't receive whatever was needed, because if you were at that state of readiness, if you were at that state of awareness, it could just be downloaded directly into you, directly into your pranamaya kosha. The knowledge that was needed or the skills that were needed could be put into you. But that changed because people were no longer vibrating that intensely. People were no longer that prachand. Yoga makes you prachand, it makes you intense. When you are prachand, we can, Shivani keeps saying after every meditation, we are not big enough to receive. Actually, that's only partly true. The point is, even if we are big enough to receive, we are not big enough to process and digest what we receive. The receptivity is fine. You can draw and draw and draw, but you go to Arunachala and you realize, my God, this is infinite. You go to a place. So this method of silent transmission did not die, but it became concealed in a sense. It became concealed in the scriptures, it became concealed in the processes, it became concealed in what the work that the teacher would do. Because in the end, that is the only real thing that works. Moksha Moolam Guru Kripa. Liberation is not possible. The foundation of liberation is the intervention of grace. Guru Kripa, and that is beyond any logic, that is beyond any ratiocination, that is beyond any verbalization, that is beyond any intellectualization. Nothing that you can think or feel about it works. What you think and feel about or experience, it is beyond all those things. It is a transcendent level, Dakshinamurti level. So when that last step has to be taken, or even when something really important has to happen, the channel in which the Shakti flows, it has to come in that silent transmission. It cannot, if it is verbalized, it is gone immediately. Because there is Agni in the tongue, and 80% of what you are saying is immediately burnt by the fire in the tongue. So which is why when they do mantra, they actually whisper it. Yeah? And the real gurus don't even whisper it, they blow. They blow into your right ear. If you're ticklish, that is bad for you, but that is what happens. So the genuine transmissions, they found a way to encode them. They found a way to keep it unaltered. They found a way to keep it unaltered, because if the person is not at that level capability to receive, then you can keep pouring it out in a Niagara on their head and nothing will happen. They will be as dry as a lizard in the Sahara, So that, how to do it then? Because this step is mandatory. In the old days, it was possible. So then the first thing they created was Sannidhi meditation. What we do? You just sit with the Guru, and the Guru opens himself or herself out, and directly from Dakshinamurti or the Guru Kshetram, the Guru field as it is called, it flows, the Shakti flows, and then the sixth element is activated, which is called the Guru Tattva. The earth, water, fire, air and Akasha are the 5 elements that we know of, but the Guru Tattva is the 6th element that is needed to start transforming you. But it flows from the Kshetram, it flows from the realm of Dakshinamurti. So the Sannidhi meditation was the first step. Naturally, human beings being human beings, they are like, this is boring, because there is nothing to do. If you are doing things, you can always convince yourself you are attaining something. Many people confuse doing things with attaining. Or at least we have done this much, therefore we have progressed. You may have done a lot and you may have just remained stuck, in many cases gone back also. because the mother said something really dreadful about yoga. She said, every step back is also a step down. You're either going up and forward or you're going back and down. Do not be under any delusion that you are in now. I'm in a rest period. I am on a plateau where I will sit and I will I will slowly process all that is happening to me. This is all too overwhelming at the moment. The more you progress, the worse it gets. You can forget about comfort if you're a serious yogi.
Correct.
No growth happens in comfort. Stagnation kicks in and then devolution happens, So, how to then do, how to ensure the purity of the transmission process and at the same time make sure that it doesn't evaporate. Because, the tamasic inertia, which we call laziness and excuses, is so strong. How to ensure? So, they started putting it into the scriptures. They started, now the methods of diksha, the methods of initiation are one way in which the silent transmission happens. It is actually called paravaka. It is a transcendent word. It is the word that cannot be verbalized. It is the word that cannot be conceptualized. It just is. It is the paravaka, and it can be, if the person is ready, it can be placed in, and then it will start doing the work. So the procedures for diksha, which is why you couldn't go to the teacher and say, you couldn't go to the guru and say, I am ready to be the disciple. I think I am now ready. You never got to do that. The guru could tell you, okay, now you're ready. Because that moment of transmission was purely dependent on your capacity to receive. Now I know these are not the ways things are done today, because people are in the business of accumulating numbers. We have so many, but you have numbers. They are all students. Acharya and Shishya is also a good relationship. There is nothing wrong with that. No, sorry, Acharya and Vidyarthi. But Guru and Shishya is a different level altogether. Because at the Guru Shishya level, the silent transmission of Dakshinamurti kicks in. As long as you need your teacher to verbalize stuff to you, you are still Vidyarthi and the teacher is still Acharya, which is okay. That is a necessary stage of evolution. But if all the time you need it to be spelt out for you, then you're not a Shishya. You're not growing, and most of all, you're not really connected to the Guru Kshetram. Because if you were connected to your teacher, if you were connected to your Guru, the answer that you need will flow, because within you also that same tattva exists, within you also that same kshetra exists. So even when the initiation procedures were different, then they started infusing it into the scriptures. They started putting it into Veda, Upanishad, all those. The words are not what counts. It is not even the meaning, which are brilliant meanings, are awesome verses. But there is power just in the sound. There is power just in the syllable. In fact, most mantras, it is not the meaning of the mantra or even the words that count. It is just the vibration that counts. Yesterday at the Art of Living Havan, they were doing the Rudram. They were chanting. And they were all chanting simultaneously. 3 of them were chanting simultaneously. And it was so loud that you could no longer hear the words. And it was fantastic, because at that moment only the Shakti was flowing. At that moment, you couldn't break it down into the component words and, oh, that is such a beautiful description of Rudra, and all those mental things could not happen. It had completely shut down, and the only thing that was doing was that vibration. Now it was different from what they do in Chidambaram, because in Chidambaram he is Nataraja. So in Chidambaram they do this little ebb and flow method, like a dance only, like a laya. They don't all chant in synchronicity. They keep little gaps. And the way the sound hits you there is completely different. It's a very unique but it's still the Rudra. These are methods depending on, but you see, if you take something, the lesser known books, you take Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, you take Patanjali Yoga Sutra, you take Yoga Vashishta. In Yoga Vashishta, he very bluntly says, Yoga Samadhi. Yeah. Which means that if you are not in samadhi, yeah, maybe yoga is not for you. But there are many, many more things than that. The way those books were structured is that there is a one level of intellectual teaching, there is a one level of emotional teaching, and those are not important at all. There is a level of Shakti transmission which matters. The very word yoga, because it has been so pathetically overused that people are missing out. But if you are in deep meditation and you just think of the word yoga, there is a certain intense, amazing vibration there, because yoga means to join. You are joined to the Guru Kshetram, you are linked, and it is unbreakable if the link is genuine. Now, of course, if you are hallucinating, that's a different matter, which is a very easy thing to do. The scriptures, even the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Aurobindo, Savitri, there are certain books where it is almost irrelevant what is being said. The power that is encoded, the power that is put into each syllable, that starts hitting you at layers of consciousness that you did not even know existed within you. First verse of the Yoga Sutra, Atha Yoga Anushasanam, and now the discipline of yoga. Brilliant. I've done a 1 hour talk on that, and I'm saying that 1 hour is actually futile. Because it is just the vibrational intensity of what is being communicated. All these books, the opening sentence used to be the full and final statement of what they are teaching. The opening statement always used to be the important this thing. So the opening statement is always very important. And Atha Yoga Anushasanam. And if you are in that receptive condition, or if you are vibrating at that level of intensity because of the years of sadhana, you realize what he has done. He has just dropped a bloody hydrogen bomb on you. Everybody talks about chapter 1 verse 2, chapter 1 verse 2. They keep talking about yoga chitta vritti nirodha, but that's not as powerful as that first opening sentence. Even in the Gita, there are places, my God, you just... Dhritarashtra Uvacha, nobody ever asked, why on earth is Dhritarashtra opening the Gita? There is a reason why. And then he said, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. That's it. You don't need to move further. Just those two words are enough to paralyze you because of the sheer magnitude of what is being communicated. Dhritarashtra said, why this blind fool is saying? Somebody else could have opened up. It is our most used, in-use scripture, because we are all Dhritarashtra. We suffer from all those nepotism problems that he suffered from. But that is not the point. The minute you see with the internal vibration, the minute you see Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, you can't move. The field of Dharma, that's it. Again, an atom bomb opening. Okay, not a hydrogen bomb, but again that intensity. So, why is it said, come and sit with the Guru? Because you never know when the time is right, when you are in a receptive condition, when the Shakti is flowing, when Dakshinamurti decides, okay, time to show some kripa. That moment cannot be plotted and calculated and according to your convenience. In fact, let me assure you, it will always happen at a most inconvenient time. And your first reaction will be, 2 months later would have been so much better. Yeah, at the moment I have all these responsibilities, I have all these issues, and this is really going to mess up my life. Yes, that's the whole purpose. Because you forget what Shiva is. Shiva is Samharaka. His purpose is to snatch away your karma. Hara Hara Mahadeva. Hara means the snatcher. And when you are tired of life, he does one final act of mercy and he snatches your life away also. You don't die because Yama comes. Nobody comes on a buffalo to... Yama is actually the first man who died, and he's the judge of karma. So if you've been a bad person, he decides to roast you a bit and then make you reincarnate somewhere not in a very good place in the world. If you've been a better person, he'll give you chances to be born into a better set of circumstances. That is Yama's job. It is Shiva who is actually the death. Samharaka. It is he who comes, and when he comes, the Kundalini is so pleased. I've been sitting here completely neglected. Finally, somebody you appreciate, she leaps out of the body. That's when you die.
Wow.
Your entire life energy exits you because you did not honor it. You did not want to become Shiva. Now Shiva has come. Okay, thank you. Next time. Next embodiment. You see, this is difficult to understand because unless you grow a little bit in yoga, you cannot understand why this fascination with the Guru, why this almost hysteria about the Guru and surrender to the Guru. Now the word surrender is an inappropriate word. It has caused a lot of harm. The two words that are used as synonyms for Sharanagati, surrender and submit. Now if you surrender, it implies there has been a conflict and you lost. Yes? Yeah, you have been defeated. People who are defeated are losers. Now you don't want to be a defeated loser, yes? So if I go to the Guru, I am a defeated loser. You're not going to progress with that attitude. If I submit, I am inferior, that person is superior. Nobody wants to be inferior. So psychologically, these two words become terrible barriers. But the word is Sharanagati. Sharan mein aana, to come to Sharana means the Guru has a kshetram, the Guru has a space, the Guru has a field where you can transform, you step into it. Now you are in the embrace of the kshetram, that is Sharana. And the concept is not only Sharana, it is Gati, it means there is movement. So please stop saying that one must surrender to the Guru, one must have Sharanagati. This nonsense about surrender and submission, there are people who, okay, let's leave that. Sharanagati. If you come into the Guru Kshetram, Gati will happen. That is the biggest complaint actually. Yeah? I'm not ready. Why is this? Why is this push? Sharanagati. It is a dynamic process. Energy flow is set up between you and the Guru. Do not be in the arrogant mode of thinking, oh, now from me also it is going there. No. In the beginning, you are a parasite, you are a vampire. You just take and take shamelessly. There is a safety mechanism that nobody can ever repay the Guru. That debt you will carry till the day you die. You can only transmit all the blessings and grace you have to the next generation. This one thing you will never be free of. You can burn up all your other rinas, but this rina will never go. Never ever. Don't even ever think it is possible. But Sharanagati, if you understand Sharanagati, then it becomes very clear. Then and only then the silent transmission can happen. The paravaka can happen only when you are in Sharanagati. That is the one condition, but unfortunately it is mandatory. So all the blah, 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 blah that you do, and you create all kinds of brilliant mental concepts of this is the nature of my relationship to the teacher. It is all in your head. That is not the nature of the relationship until and unless the energy link has been established, and until Dakshinamurti decides, all right, here is a nice clear channel. Let me send some Shakti down. Nothing happens. And this, of course, in modern terms, because everybody wants to be strong and independent and, autonomous beings, In what about you did you have any choice? This is what I keep finding. People have this huge problem with Sharanagati, and I'm like, nothing in your life is according to your plan or your desire. I have made this point before. It's still worth making 1,000 times. When you are born, you have no choice in the matter. Okay, at a karmic level maybe. Even over there, accidents happen. what gender you are going to be also you have no. Yeah, whatever beautiful or horrible name you are going to be saddled with, what language you will learn, what level of education, what clothes, what food, everything that makes you who you are has not been in your control. So what is this sudden desire to be a fascist and now manage all the reins of my life? क्या था आपका? What about you at all did anybody ever consult you? It's hugely unfair mechanism. I sometimes have little conversations with him and I tell him, you're a very poor designer, the world is a big mess. Anybody could have done better. You and mother really are sleeping on the job. But it's not their fault, it's our fault because we are not in Sharanagati. This vital aspect, until you acknowledge that there is something superior to yourself, you will never grow. Now, if you can directly contact Dakshinamurti, great. Nobody can do it. Because the intensity of what descends will fry you on the spot. So you need a buffer. You need somebody who can reduce that intensity and channel it to you in a level that you can tolerate. Why is he called Dakshinamurti? The south facing. He sits in the north and he sits in Kailas. Okay, that's not the real reason. The south is the direction where karma burns up. The south is the direction where time goes. When we die, we place the body with the head in the south. That's the only time we do that. Yes? Otherwise, no. Sorry, we place the head in the north with the feet facing the south. Correct. No, we never put our head in the north. We are never supposed to put our head in the north when we sleep. East is best, west after that, then south if no other option. Because the reason we do that, if we do that, biological decay is accelerated. There is a deeper spiritual reason in that the south is the direction where karma is, the south is the direction of death. Death means end of karma. He is looking over there. Anyways, he is Hara. I happen to be a Vastu person. I happen to have some knowledge. I wrote the first book on that, published in the West. So many times I used to be called for consultation because some hell is breaking loose in the family. And almost the first thing I would do was say, show me where your clock is. Because I would find very nicely it would be placed on the south wall. And both Samaya and Karma are now rapidly accelerating in that house. And just by shifting that clock to the north or the east or whatever, even the west is not a very good idea because the sun goes down there. So again, you're rapidly accelerating. North wall and east wall. When they say Dakshinamurti, the south facing god, no name is given to any devta just because it is fun or it sounds sweet. The name of a devta always has deeper resonating meaning. There is something encoded in that name which you are supposed to. So he will take your karma away. He will put your entire karmic dissolution into fast forward. He will speed up time for you. That is why he is Dakshinamurti. And if you are very, very lucky, Sanat Kumara might one day decide to visit you in a dream or something. Anybody who says they actually saw Sanat Kumara, I'm like, yeah, okay. You don't have that much Shakti. Nobody does. But in a dream or maybe in a meditation, maybe you can get Sanat Kumara, somebody like that. Dakshinamurti is the form of the Guru. The physical person is not the Guru. Please do not confuse the physical person with the Guru. The physical person is embodiment. Embodiment is always limitation. Even Krishna, who is the Sampurna avatar and was functioning purely from Chitagni, not from Jataragni or even from Bhutagni, he was functioning purely from Chitagni. Even he had only 125 years and in the end he died. The very fact that consciousness comes into embodiment means that there is, one, it will end, and second, there will be limitation. And there will be limitations of the personality also. Everybody, every teacher will be a product of their time, their age, their upbringing, their culture, their education, what they have experienced in life. If you start judging all those things as criteria, again you have missed the point completely. Then you are standing outside, you are not in the kshetra, you are not inside, you are not in Sharanagati. You are Vidyarthi then. Because the point is not how great or how brilliant or awe-inspiring or how famous the teacher is. The point is how deep is your Sharanagati. You may want to go to somebody who is very impressive, but that person has no Rinanubandhan with you. Even if that person desires other than a general blessing, he cannot give. Even who becomes your guru is ultimately a karmic act. It is decided over lifetimes. This becomes very serious, you see, because sometimes, because you have all these filters, because you have all these expectations, the person must be like this, the person must not be above a certain age, the person must be of certain gender. But what a way that person is behaving or acting, and here you have lost your avsaram, you have lost your karmic opportunity. Avsaram is what the Greeks used to call kairos. They had two notions of time. One was chronos, chronological time. Minutes, days, weeks, months, hours, tick, 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 tick. That is chronos. And then there is kairos, where you can shift your entire life at that moment. That is the moment of opportunity. That is what in yoga is called avsaram. You have a moment where the choice will completely transform you, because that is the moment when actually you come into Sharanagati. But you cannot come into Sharanagati unless there is a guru. Now, people who tell me that they have disembodied beings as gurus, either they are lying or they are hallucinating. In very few rare cases, it might be so. But in most cases, it's perfectly easy to whip up some kind of mental formulation and think, oh wow, I am being guided by divine beings. It might be some kind of malicious being having little fun at your expense. It might be some kind of vital being, some kind of imp or goblin having little fun with you. The reason why you come to an established guru in a parampara is that these dangers are not there. A guru in a parampara, a guru who's had a teacher, who's had a lineage, who's had training, there is quality control there. Nowadays, anybody who can afford the price of a poster announces themselves as a guru, and they get very offended if you ask them what is the lineage, who taught you, where is the parampara, what is the system. And they have pictures of stars coming out of their hands and everything. I'm like, okay. But we have become very ignorant about our own culture. You see, that is the major problem. We are slowly reconstructing our culture. We are slowly reconstructing our entire spiritual methodologies also. All the sadhana vidhis have become so weak. That the contemporary gurus can do much more, but the general public, what is the point? If you give them caviar, they'll say, what is this blackberry fish jam? What is this blackberry jam like fish? So I do not know how to say this, because when that intensity kicked in and I started seeing the deeper vibration or the deeper meaning behind the scriptures, or I come and sit for meditation with her, and at the end of the meditation everybody is asked, and then everybody is very curious, what did I experience? And my usual answer for the past 2 years has been, what is there to say? Yeah. And people think I'm holding back or concealing, but that's not the thing. The reason is, when I sit in meditation and she establishes the link, I don't see her anymore. There is just light over there. And experiences happen when there is form, when there is embodiment. When there is no embodiment, what experience? No, so it's not something that I'm saying because I'm stingy with my experiences. There is, because the true self or the higher self or whatever you want to call it, at that moment is not Rohit interacting with Santosh. It is that true self is interacting with Shiva or is connected to Shiva. All gurus, when they sit like that and they just open themselves up, Dakshinamurti is the one doing the work. No serious guru ever says that I am doing it. They know very well they are not. In fact, most of the time they have complaints. I am being used, I am being driven, I am being made to do. I would have preferred a slower pace. But once you are in Sharanagati, the Gati is not in your control. Only Sharanam is in your control. And Gati mein kya problem hai? Nobody is going to die because they have surrendered, or rather Sharanagati, It is your time. When it is your time, you will get activated whether you like it or not. If you have been doing that for many lifetimes, there is always a moment of avsaram in your life. There is a kairos moment in your life, and you will be activated. And trust me, nobody gets activated without access to a guru. The guru is just round the corner. It is impossible to say that this happened and I could not find a guru. That is not true. The guru is there, you did not recognize because you didn't like the form in which it came. Or I expected somebody more impressive, or I expected somebody more articulate. That is all the problems, that, or this person acts in a very peculiar manner. Let the person act in a peculiar manner. When the person is communicating to you, is the person sincere and truthful at that moment? That is all that counts. And even if all that you say is true, it is not the limited personality that is teaching. It is not the limited personality that is transmitting. It is always Dakshinamurti. But, okay, it's very easy for me to say all these things now after so many years of struggle. After so many years of getting knocked on the head because I was just not seeing the simplicity of the whole process. Because I was imposing my expectations and my projections and my desires. And then from the guru, people have every expectation except spiritual transformation. That's the major reason why they come to the guru. I went to that guru and my disease got healed. I said, very good doctor. I went to that guru and I got so much money. Very good financial advisor. Yeah? I went to the guru and my daughter's marriage happened. Very good marriage broker. Yeah? My daughter-in-law was not having a child. I said, very good artificial. Yeah? In what way are you saying that this person has been spiritually valuable to me? That because I met this person, something larger and greater activated within me. That I have become somebody larger and greater. So, every possible thing, yeah, please don't touch me and transform me. Everything else, in my case, I had no option because Santosh didn't plan it. Just her reading her book only triggered and activated me. So, it was just the karmic thing at the moment. But when you see that, you instantly understand one thing. Sharanagati has not happened. If you are in Sharanagati, something else happens. The minute you come into Sharanagati, your entire karmic stream starts flowing into your authentic Swadharma channel, into your authentic Enteleki channel. Enteleki is the Greek word for Swadharma. It means the purpose you are born to accomplish. Everybody has a purpose for which they were born. There is one thing that they were meant to do, and if you try to do other things, life has a way of nudging you gently and then harshly, and then giving you real trouble, and then finally saying, okay, this person is not interested. Let them wander around for a few lifetimes. But if you come into Sharanagati, within 1 year, 2 years, your Swadharma instantly starts activating. Because this is the one question that everybody asks. How do I know what is my purpose? How do I know that what is it that I am meant to do? And I'm like, do you have a guru? No. Do you have a meditation practice? No. Then you won't know. You never will. Sharanagati. The gati is then the Swadharma, then the gati is the Enteleki. Then your whole life energy starts flowing into the channels it was meant to. Of course, it is not really a choice because lifetimes of Vasana Samskara and Rinanubandhan has created that. So even over there you have about 5% free agency. The rest is all decided. The fun part is, once you are in Sharanagati, you find how fluid you become. What was your standard operating procedure? What is your hardcore habit which you could never ever give up? Just because you're in Sharanagati, you find you don't need to act like that anymore. Again, that is the point. That is why they keep insisting, get a guru, Sharanagati mein aa jao. Get a guru, because the guru is not a person. The guru is the Kshetram, the guru is the Shakti. And it cannot, I say all these things because at least some people may grasp what is being said and some people may resonate. But really it is a waste of time. At a very deep level it is a waste of time, because the real work cannot be, it is of a magnitude that we cannot describe it. There are no words, there are no concepts. There is no way you can structure it and analyze it and describe it. The work happens at a level that is simply beyond our current human embodiment. One has to literally get what our 8 spiritual breaths keep saying, the body of light, my whole body is full of light, then you can get it. Because the body of light means you become a Deva. Deva only means that a person whose whole body is full of light. Because the Guru can transform you, that is why the Guru is called Deva. Because the Guru is full of that light, the transforming light. The Guru is never called Ishvara. People make a mistake, that sad verse. It's a brilliant verse, but it has caused so much trouble that Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Si Guru Deva Nama. It doesn't mean that the Guru is Brahma or Vishnu or Shiva. It means that the Guru Tattva or the Guru Kshetram is flowing through that. Therefore, the person in whom the Guru Kshetram is flowing, Tasmai Sri Guru Namaha. But it has become into that my Guru is Ishvara, or my Guru is God, or my Guru is actually an avatar, and all those futile and foolish behaviors, which may be true also, but what does it? So your Guru is an avatar, what are you doing about it? Have you become free or are you still? But many people are very happy. I have gone near somebody who is very, very accomplished. What have you done? Again, if there is genuine Sharanagati, there is no hope. If it is a genuine teacher and your Sharanagati is genuine, the transformation immediately starts happening. So anybody who says I have gone for years but nothing has happened, it means Sharanagati is not real. That is what I call the display Sharanagati, Like nowadays it has become a lifestyle choice, It's like a go to meditation, take, have a teacher, take, go to satsang, take, That's also dangerous, because if you go to enough satsang, one day something might catch you, and then you will find you are in big trouble. But generally the ego protection is so strong, it won't happen. It does not happen. I keep saying this, yoga is extremely simple. Simple, not easy. There's nothing really you have to do. All you have to do is come. Come to Dakshinamurti. You just have to have that one moment of clarity that I am not adequate by myself. That I am not, as I used to think, the center of the universe. Much more can be done, much more can be added, much more. And I need to find somebody, or I need to be with somebody who can do that, who can shift me, who can make me access that inner dimension. That experience of Shakti, once you experience it flow from the Guru, there is no doubt left anymore. It is the most authentic and true experience you will ever have in your life. Doubt will remain, because doubt means I have not yet experienced it, I want to know about it. Suspicion is that this must be all just a flam, this must be all just kind of scam. But once you feel that, it is staggering. I again, like I say, there are no words. And then you realize why all mystics keep saying, you think human love is something incredible, wait till you feel the love, the touch of the divine. Because the magnitude is so much greater, the intensity is so much greater. And many of them go mad with that. The whole bhakti types, they go mad with that touch of the divine love. Also, the teacher didn't scold them for indulging in emotionalism. Okay, that is another point. That is another point. We won't get into the deficiencies of the bhakti path, yes. Because at least the bhaktas have one thing right, Sharnagati. They know how to do Sharnagati better than anybody else. The Jnanis are the biggest problem for Sharnagati, because their head is so full of the accumulated data that I don't know why it causes it to, like, gaseous swelling happens. Jnanis have a problem, but not the bhaktas. They don't have a problem with that. This method is what distinguishes yoga from every other method. This method of silent transmission of Shakti, which is the core. And no matter how people try to rationalize it, every yogi, every authentic hardcore yogi keeps insisting the real stuff cannot be said. The real stuff can only be experienced. The real stuff can only be accessed from the Guru. Because they are very clear about it. Without the Guru, it's not going to work. Many people think maybe very 1 in 10 million, maybe because of lots and lots of past life effort, that maybe they can make a little jump on their own. But usually it's not possible, and mokshatva is never going to be possible on your own. Kripa has to happen, grace has to happen. It's a tragedy that except for small parts of South India, Dakshinamurti is not known only in the rest of India. And it is the supreme form of the Guru. It's a genuine tragedy. So I really hope that this Rupam, it seems to be becoming stronger now. Recently they made a temple outside Pune, a Dakshinamurti temple. I really hope that this comes up, because if there aren't adequate numbers of people who are used to receiving Shakti, it becomes difficult. If it's a general purpose, the overall consciousness shifts and it becomes easier to send. Each generation, if there are more and more people who are in the habit of accessing Shakti, it becomes easier. But Dakshinamurti is the core. Dakshinamurti is the real, again, because the puja of Dakshinamurti is very difficult. Just being there and just being attuned to receive is so difficult. Not to your human guru. to Dakshinamurti. To be attuned to Dakshinamurti is difficult. To the human guru, you don't need to be attuned. Sharanagati. It's causing a lot of depression, I notice. Okay. Which is why come and sit in meditation, because you have no idea where and when the gift will drop on your head, you know. See, actually, if you are really genuinely connected, you can be one continent away and the connection is unbreakable. You can just think of the Guru and the Shakti descends immediately. But you see, Gurus have a personal energy field also. So coming and sitting in the personal energy field is dramatically healing. So that's why they insist, come, 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 come. Because, you know, the more you come and sit, the stronger the Shakti is there. Why are you always putting pressure on that one? Just come and sit in the physical space. You don't need to be constantly going into the pranic space and then drawing it from there. No? That's a strain. Just coming and sitting is enough. Just sitting in the personal kshetram of the Guru is enough. Again, that's what they are doing. They are not asking anything. They have no questions. Adi Shankara has written Dakshinamurti Stotram and he is like, here is the great wonder. The teacher is young, the disciples are all old greybeards and nobody is saying anything. all is being transmitted silently, of course. That's how it will happen, you know. You know, in one sense, it's very great that we come and Santosh doesn't give pravachan before meditation. Because then you get it completely raw and unfiltered. Because her nature, as her embodiment nature, she might say, okay, not appropriate, not. But if she's just sitting there and it flows, it flows. No, it's very strange because she's female and you would think some Shakti Swarupam, but no, it is Shiva Swarupam. Not even Shiva Shakti, not even Ardhanarishwar. Shiva Swarupam and Dakshinamurti Swarupam, you know. Because that, I hardly remember, it must be now 3 years or 4 years since I actually asked her a question. Because anytime I have a question, all I have to do is, okay, Santosh, I'm going to ask you a question, you know. And whatever needed comes. It just surfaces. In the beginning, I was like, was that really from Santosh and the Kshetram? It might have been. Then over time you realize you're not that wise, okay? It did not come from you, it came from outside. And one of the reasons why they do the satsang with the sacred text is to get people into the habit of being in the Shakti of the words, the Shakti beyond words, the silent Shakti. The point of the pravachan, the point of the learning, the point of engaging with the text is not so much to become a scholar and write your PhD thesis on the text, but just to let the Shakti saturate you. And over time it will just, and that moment cannot be planned. Now certain people have like a, what I call, they come with a script in which they are the hero, yeah, and the Guru is then the director. You please, you please work out this script. You please make this happen in this manner. You know, and directors at least get paid. The expectation is it will all be done for free because you want. So dakshina, what we do, no, when we give dakshina, we are not giving to the person. The dakshina is just our gratitude to Dakshinamurti. Oh, that is also another meaning of dakshina. Yes, it is another meaning of Dakshinamurti. It is just our way of trying to repay all that we have got. Like I said, you can never repay. But somebody is making the effort. We are obliged to make sure that at least because of resources, that effort will not stop. That is the reason why gurus are given dakshina. They don't need. Gurus are enough alone. They are enough alone. But not to give means you have been stealing. You have been taking Shakti without returning. काफी आज के लिए?
Wow.
Enough for today? अक्षतपतितं तोयं सागरं प्रतिगच्छति सर्वदेव नमस्कारं शिवो प्रतिगच्छति सर्वं शिवमयम्.
Wow. Wow.